Today we're heading into the shop and I want to introduce you to someone very near and dear to my heart. Old Red. It's my pride and joy. She's a 1998 Dodge Ram 2500 4x4 with a Cummins turbo diesel. She has 12 valves of fury and a long bed that never has to be made. Today we're throwing on something special I got hidden over here on the workbench. Redhead steering box. So I opened up the box and found another box. And inside that box is what we've all been waiting for. This is the Redhead steering box. Came nicely packaged. It's got a nice black coating, the standard red top, and the Made in USA sticker. We're ready to go. So to get started, I wanted to walk you guys through a couple of steps that we're gonna have to do to get this old box out. That's gonna include taking out these 3 bolts that hold the steering box to the frame. And underneath the truck, we're gonna have to take off this nut onto the sector shaft, drop the pitman arm and the drag link. And then up on top of the unit, we're gonna have to disconnect 2 power steering lines and the steering column from the steering box. After we get all those out, she should fall right out and we'll get on to the next steps. So we have the old box out. I have it set over there in our drain pan. I wanted to walk you guys through exactly what I did. So I first took the nut holding the pitman arm onto the sector shaft of the steering box. After that, I used the pitman arm puller to pull it off the sector shaft. After that, I took the lines off, and those are 2 18mm bolts. I propped both the lines up here so that no extra fluid would be coming out of the reservoir. After that, I disconnected the 10mm bolt on the steering column and slipped that off of the steering box. And lastly, I took those 3 21mm bolts holding it on. And voila, our steering box has been removed. So we're now going to start the bleeding process. I have the steering box in, all the linkage hooked up, all the lines hooked up. I went ahead and filled the reservoir with fluid so it's all the way topped off. I jacked up the front of the vehicle to get the weight off the front tires so that they can move freely side to side while we do this bleeding process. This bleeding process is going to be with the truck off, and we're going to turn the steering wheel from lock to lock 15 to 20 times. What this is going to do is move our power steering fluid through the pump and start working out all those air bubbles. And we want to turn the steering wheel at about a rate of 1 revolution per second. And just go back and forth. We top it off before we start it up so that when the pump starts pulling fluid throughout the system, the level doesn't drop too much. Because if the level drops too much while we start it, it'll start and introduce air back into the system. And that is not what we want right now. Lost count, but that should be around 15 to 20. So yeah, we're finished for tonight. Finished bleeding the whole power steering system. We're free of all air leaks, and it seems to be working perfectly fine. We'll see how it holds up.